I was concerned about, really just slipped my mind, but come to mind, you know, like the traffic coming through, we've already talked about coming out of Franklin Street, on the Evarts. Now, where are the people on the park? I mean, reside there, because I come home late at night and can't find a parking space. We don't talk about the weekend, somebody's on the block party. I mean, so how is this going to affect? And then we have construction workers who are driving from distances, parking there. There's going to be no parking whatsoever on 10th Street or on Evarts Street. And Douglas, not even on Douglas.
No, we wouldn't be parking anyway.
So, again, as part of the construction management agreement, we can raise that as a concern with the developer and then get them to agree to terms around that. So the terms are that the construction workers need to find a location that's not on 10th Street, it's not on Douglas, it's not on Evarts, then we put that in the agreement and the developer will be bound by that.
And how long is this construction supposed to take?
Well, this is going to be, if they're successful, it will be a phased construction. And so if we can get through the initial phase, here's the challenge. And just so that everybody's clear, the alley closure is not a matter for the zoning commission. It's actually a matter for the council. So the council will oversee the closure of the alley. There's a procedure to do that. The chairman of the board, or the chairman of the council, would take a move from the Ward 5 City Council member, and then as the committee of the whole chair, Councilmember Mickelson would then preside over that and have to put it on the legislative agenda, and then sometimes that can take a long time.
Well, presumably the council member doesn't know anything about the alley, so he would reach out to the community and to the ANC in particular for advice and consent on that.
When is that supposed to take place?
When the developer will then make a request, post the ANC meeting on the 24th, but then make an official request to the council for it to be considered, and then the due diligence on the part of the council member, and then the committee of the whole chair and that team that happens.
And how long is that?
Typically, well, you can't be too ambitious about those things. Those things take a while. Sometimes, you know, the chairman will, you know, I think he does the right thing by making certain that there's sufficient concern being heard from the community, he weighs that. Obviously, the developer would like to get that done sooner rather than later, but I mean, at best, and you're talking about, you know, a pretty fast process, somewhere between 9 and 12 months at the earliest. On average, you're probably seeing these things come out of the committee 18 months down the road. So there would not be construction.
Just for the alley.
Just for the alley closure. Just for the alley. And then, of course, it would be a phased building project. So it would start, you know, it's just not advisable or smart to just develop a 370-unit building. You kind of have to build it slowly, rent, see where you are, keep going.
So you're talking completion estimate, assuming you take 12 months for the alley, and then you start your phase 1.
We're easily, you know, somewhere between 24 and 36 months before we might be there.
So we're currently 24 to 36 months before starting.
I think easily.
So we would start about 3 years from now.
I'll say two.
So we would start in 2017, and how long would phase 1 take?
You're probably talking somewhere between a year to 18 months for phase 1.
Okay.
Depending on the scenario. The scenario is that there is a successful alley closure, then, you know, the construction plan takes a slightly different approach. There are options if there's no support for the alley closure, and that would be build 2 structures. Not necessarily ideal, and also it brings into play, again, the question that the conversation that we faced earlier about potential collaboration with the Douglas team, because they've got the abutting property and have already expressed that they'd like to work with them. Adams has essentially said they would prefer to move forward with their plan, and that's what we're doing.
When you say the abutting property, which property is that?
It's the lot, and I'll show you in the aerial shot. appreciate
Is
it. It's
that
the
a
lot,
road?
it's the lot north of that property. So there are a couple of parcels back there.
Right, which property?
And I want to say that it's the, where the CSOSO and the supervisory, court supervisory buildings.
Okay.
There's a parking lot.
Yeah.
And so one year for phase one, and then another year for phase two, assuming the
Somewhere
alley.
in 18 months, probably.
18
So,
months.
Mr. Burns,
Open it on the side.
We'll have to assume that for phase two, so you're talking about a year and a half, 2.5 years after 2017, so you're talking about a completion date of 2019 or 2021. Okay, yes, Mr. Tucker.
if he doesn't get, well, two things. One, we got to really check on this matter right, as far as did they go through the proper procedures. But now you're telling us, if you're gonna use the Doug Jamal property, which is if they have to go that route, which is a separate lot, that means they have to come back to this here community again, because in order to do that, there has to be some community collaboration, or can you build on somebody else's property, because you're talking about two separate properties.
Well, it would be a new plan, right, which would
But
necessitate.
you gotta create a new plat, because now you're extending the building over to somebody else's property. You've gone beyond your lot line. So if you go there, you've gone beyond your lot line
Yeah,
there.
there's a whole process for combining or breaking lots,
Right.
and that sometimes involves the zoning commission and sometimes.
And let me just say again, I just want to be forthright, and that's been part of the conversation, and I just want to share it with you because you've asked about the 11 properties. So today, the plan is to move forward with this structure. The option would be, if this is not successful, to consider other things, perhaps building two separate structures on 806 and another structure on 807, or looking at some other combination, working with some of the landholders around.
Next question, raise your hand if you have a question.
I do.
Sorry, I gotta go finish, no, sorry, people have to wait till the next cycle. Mr. Schrum.
Question, so does Adams Investment own the property now? When did you purchase it?
I don't have that date, but I can get it to you.
And the current use of the site is a mechanic shop, auto mechanic shop?
There's several parcels, but so there's 806 and there's 807, but there's a tow yard back there, a mechanic shop back there.
Okay, so have you all done, have you done a site assessment for soil contamination?
We haven't yet, but assuming that the plan goes forward, then the developers committee to do a site assessment, environmental impact, make sure that the soil is not dirty, and to abate whatever environmental impacts it might be to the community once you get it back on the road.
Just one follow-up question. So this is a big building. Do you all have a stormwater plan?
That can be part of the conversation, and I think it's appropriate to do so, particularly given the challenges that Mr. Tucker raised about the water runoff down to under the bridge. There is a significant amount of infrastructure work underway, by the way. I know that when I was in the council office, we worked very substantially on the problems in Bloomingdale, which are not isolated, by the way. That challenge is also connected to the problems that we have under the bridge. And the council member actually shared with me recently that the money that he was able to secure to fix those problems, he just got the news that it's going to take a whole lot more. And so there's some substantial problems with the water and so forth. So we'll certainly put that in the request that there should be sufficient stormwater management, clean cisterns and other things.
Mr. Merriweather.
Yes, my name is David Merriweather. I've been a resident of the Brooklyn area for 39 years. And I am completely opposed to the whole project. We don't need any more apartment buildings in this area. It's saturated already with apartment buildings. If anything back there, you could put some townhouses back there, single-family homes back there, or something to that nature. We don't need 300 to 400 people in this neighborhood. It's going to change my way of life. This is a quiet, it's a nice neighborhood. We have problems like everybody else, but this is a beautiful neighborhood. This is going to change the complete aesthetics of this neighborhood. to build a building like this?
Just so you all know, I'm taking notes, I'm trying to listen very attentively, and then make sure that I capture your concerns, but I understand that.
We don't need that, we don't need a vicinity.
Of course, it's a fait accompli.
Anybody else before we go back to people who already asked questions? Anyone else who has not asked a question yet? Former ANC 504 Commissioner Racine.
But I wanted to ask a question about the easement that you were talking about, that was going to be between the houses and the buildings, and you said it was going to be like 4 feet between them.
So, the question is about the easement that we discussed. So, the existing alleyways that back up to 10th Street, and then the existing alley that cuts from behind Evarts. Those are currently 16 feet wide. Aside from the portion that the developer is asking to close, they're going to create a 20-foot alley between the homes on Evarts and the beginning of the construction of the new building. And then, to be consistent with that, they're going to, the proposal is to add an additional 4 feet to the existing 16 feet that backs up to 10th Street to add an additional 4 feet of separation from the construction of the project and the homes on 10th Street.
16 feet is the width.
The width.
It is the width?
Yes. So it'll be now 20 feet in width from the back of the properties on 10th to the beginning of the construction of the project on
Okay, but the feet is different, it's not, I thought maybe it should put more than just 4 feet, just like
it's only 20 in total.
Yes, ma'am.
Building off of that question, I mean, recent studies have shown that wider streets make cars go faster. So is that a concern in that alleyway by making it bigger? That cars are going to use it actually more and go faster?
Put speed bumps.
We will not put speed bumps in alleyways. We've already requested that a couple times, and but we were quickly told, no, it might impede the DC vehicles that are using emergency vehicles.
There was the consideration for greening. So again, we can take all of those back. And so if you prefer not to have that, and again, I'm also taking back that we should step back the building as opposed to having you look out of your back window and see 90 feet. It can be set back, and we'll look at those and then try to bring those back in terms of additional options. But if also what I'm hearing is there an option for us to keep it at 16 feet perhaps, and then use the 4 feet of space more creative, perhaps greening it, some other things. But I'm reporting that the concern is if you've got wider alleys, perhaps you're making it easier for cars to travel faster in the alley space.
My question.
Anybody else before we go back to the second round? No. You have a question? No? Go ahead.
Okay. What was the site chosen? Why did you choose that site? There's a perfectly good site right there at Rhode Island Avenue and 13th Street that's been vacant. It would be plenty of space for you to build a high-rise. That was torn down many years ago.
And it was a high-rise. And it was a high-rise.
That's a sort of story, but they're not connected in any way. So, I mean, they chose it because that's the property they own. They own that property. That property at 13th Rhode Island is owned by somebody else. For whatever it's worth, I know that has been in several failed negotiations around, the owner asking for an exorbitant price for that property, and it's just been ensnared in negotiations for a long time. That said, again, it's totally separate. This is the property that Adams Investment Group owns, and so that's the short answer.
When are you asking the businesses to leave their premises?
So that largely depends on the process, street closure and all those things. So at some point when there's some better idea about when the construction schedule will start in earnest, then they'll move to.
I mean, the contract would have to say something along the lines of how many months from what or anything like that. Is there any details that you could explain to us on
Contract with the.
when they purchased it from them?
owners?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I know that they anticipate, they know about the project, and again, it would behoove them to keep them there until we know what's going to happen.
Is it a forced hard date, or is it a moving window of when you're?
They've not issued any notice for them to vacate at this point.
And were you the owner when the zoning was changed?
When the zoning was changed.
Yes.
That I don't know, but I can ask.
Okay. And takings on light for the people when the building blocks?
I'm sorry?
The takings of our light blocking, anything like that?
So on that point, there have been several other renderings of decks, if you will, that we've been working on. There are shadow studies, okay, and I'm happy to show those to the community. We've done shadow studies based on the solstice and time, so winter, summer, and it shows the shadows that are cast based on that time, and with the variations of height and variations of setback. Okay, so we have all of that. We can certainly show that.
That would be excellent.
So you can have an idea of what that might look like for you with some of the options that the developer has offered. And then I'm not sure if I answered your other question. Let me come back.